Go ahead and get right into the interview here.
Sure.
So you're working on a book currently on the resurrection. And so how do they respond to this? That you have these facts and you establish them historically. And you say the best explanation of these facts is that God raised Jesus from the dead.
They will usually say something like this. You got some data for your theory, and I'm not exactly sure where I would go to refute it. But you're asking me, implicit in your argument, is you're asking me to believe in Middle Earth, Narnia, or if you want a secular example, Oz. You're asking me to believe in that. And there's no world like that. How do you know? Well, there's no, look at everything we know from empirical science. There's not an ultimate universe. And when I'm talking to a person like that, I always go, time out. Let's talk about near-death experiences. And because the evidence has been coming in so well, in a recent book, up to 30 million people in North America, England, and Europe have claimed to have near-death experiences. So I could say, hey, let's just say the number's blown up too much and there's only 20 million. In a way, that's 20 million people who've been to Narnia.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Enthusiastic Buddhist. In this episode, I'm going to be looking at the topic of reincarnation, rebirth, and past life evidence. Rebirth, multiple lives, life after death. Now, near-death experiences are also another topic that lends weight to the idea of multiple lives. Near-death experiences are still a mystery to science. A lot of near-death experiences that have been documented, people talk about a stage after death when they're surrounded by light, they feel love, and sometimes a wiser being meets with them to help determine what important lessons that they've learnt in their life. They also suggest that death is just a transition between lives and it's not something to be scared of. The concept of rebirth really broadens our perspective of life. Now, if we look at the Buddhist perspective on rebirth, the Buddha stated without hesitation that we have had multiple lives and that our rebirths aren't just random, that there is a reason for them. And I think in some ways it's nice believing in past life or future lives because it means that we're never really parted from our loved ones for very long. It means that we'll meet them again in a future life. And I know I've met some people in this life who I felt that I've known before in previous lives, and perhaps some of you can relate to that.
Harvard neurosurgeon Ibn Alexander became a believer in the afterlife after he had a near-death experience. These experiences are surprisingly common. They include out-of-body sensations, images of events, religious figures, even heaven. So how can we understand what lies behind these experiences? I mean, some religious people would say the soul has separated itself from the body and then returned back.
Dr. Ibn Alexander, having been brought up and schooled in this kind of theory, now he experiences for himself what others had described. So while his brain was, from a medical point of view, shut down, he was having this experience of being in the afterlife.
Mm-hmm. So how can we understand what was going on there?
Yes, and I said afterlife. He didn't put it in this way. He tried to stay.
He had a fantastical vision of very good things, clouds and people. And
bright lights, things that he wanted
birds.
To describe almost as angels. And some of the things that he saw will help believers to at least some people will feel that yes, this confirms what we already thought existed. We thought angels, and this man saw something like this: bright, luminous beings parading through the sky, leaving traces behind them as they go. He met a woman of extraordinary beauty who assured him that he has nothing to fear. And some of these descriptions actually remind me of passages from the Quran.
And this means nearly half the world population believe in the theory of reincarnation. That we have come here and we continue to come here again and again. This is called the theory of reincarnation. Now straight away I can ask all of you here, they've got nearly 50 people, how many of you remember your past life? This is terrible. How can they believe in stuff like this? No, even I didn't put my hand up. This is terrible. Why not? You may think this is like a big black hole. We can't believe in reincarnation because there's nobody remembers their past life. In reality, it is not the case. Now, this is where the real research comes into being. Southampton University has done a lot of research on something called the near-death experience. Some people die on the operating theater and they say no brain function, no heart function, no lung function, clinically dead. They put a white cloth on it. And in 2 minutes, the fellow opens the white cloth, hey, what are you doing to me? I'm here. He comes back. Something seems to survive death. What is it? What happens? In the near-death experience called NDE, they discovered that a lot of individuals who came back, stood up again, said that we are fully aware, we are still, even though you thought the body is dead, we could actually hear and see everything happening in the operating theatre, perfectly. No mistake. 2,000 cases. So that means something continues to survive even when the bodily functions come to stop. This is just one indication that something survives. That's not good enough for reincarnation. We need more. Where does the more come from? From children. A lot of 3-year-old children spontaneously talk about a different life. Suddenly they get up in the morning and say, I'm not David, I'm George. They're not Hindus, they're English, or they may be Jewish, or they may be Christian, Muslim, whoever. So anyway, so children get up in the morning and say, I'm not David, I'm George. Mommy said, Thapat. They are no, I'm not David, I'm George, and I'm married. 3-year-old chap, I'm married, I've got 3 children. How can you have 3 children? They talk about another life. So proper research has been done by Professor Stevenson of University of Virginia. Do Google search. And he's done 3,000 case studies, more than 3,000 young children recalling their past lives. In many cases, it is possible to check it out. Otherwise, why should I believe? They're just babbling, maybe it's nonsense. It's possible to check out what they're talking about. Say to somebody who lived 50 years ago in a village nearby, they can check the records, the birth record, the death record, the marriage record, everything can be checked. So they check, and it fits. Perfect fit. So Professor Stevens said, I'm not a Hindu, I'm not here to prove reincarnation. Look, this is how you must be open. He says the only theory that fits this particular research that I've done is the theory of the Hindus of reincarnation.
At first glance, near-death experiences seem to be convincing proof of an afterlife, except for a couple major problems. You would expect that if any particular religious account of the afterlife were true, every NDE would be pretty much the same, but these accounts are so varied and are all based on cultural exposure. In India, people see Hindu gods.
The only theory that fits this particular research that I've done is the theory of the Hindus of reincarnation.
Saudi Arabia, it's Muhammad, Allah, and a bunch of virgins.
And some of these descriptions actually remind me of passages from the Quran.
Both are convinced that these stories are proof of an afterlife, but in both cases, they're all just anecdotes. I'm not saying that these people didn't experience something odd, but I am saying that we should take it with a grain of salt. In the largest study of NDEs ever conducted, only 9% of cardiac arrest survivors who were able to complete a detailed interview had a near-death experience. If everyone has souls and everyone who dies goes to heaven or hell, then what's up with the other 91% who flatline but never have an NDE?
Nothing at all. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo. Nothing at all.
Near-death experiences is that they oftentimes present experiences that don't fit with our Christian view of reality.